Hey everyone, thanks for joining. I got a great show for you today. I have a first for this channel. We have someone who has a lot of experience with mobile home parks. So we're going to get into all that. But first, we must welcome our guest, and we have Sydney Baker here with us. How you doing this morning, Sydney?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Excellent. We always start with the guest introducing who they are, what they do in real estate, where they are in the country. So Sydney, tell us who you are.
Okay, so I am out of Atlanta, Georgia. I'm currently a W-2 employee. So right now I am a controller for an IT company. And on the side, I'm doing mobile home park investing with my partners. So at some point I will transition to doing this full time.
Very, very
So
cool.
yeah.
So how long have you been, when did your story start with real estate?
With real estate, it's actually been quite short. So I've spent my whole career in finance and accounting. That's what I studied in college. I worked for a public company doing financial analysis and reporting. I did SEC reporting, and then as corporate controller. So I just started. I knew I wanted to get into multifamily real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I just wasn't sure exactly where I wanted to plug in exactly. So back in November, I went to Khleif's boot camp in Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
and that was just the game changer for me. I mean, that just opened up my eyes. I met the best people, the most wonderful people, and I decided to kind of narrow my focus and only look exclusively at mobile home parks. Everyone else is looking at apartments. Apartments are sexy. Mobile home parks are not. There's a lot of reasons that I wanted to just focus in on that asset class mainly. So honestly, November was really when it started for me. I plugged into the right group of people, kind of aligned myself with the mentor,
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Easterly, plug for him, and that's kind of when it started.
That's
So it's
awesome.
been very short, yeah.
That's awesome because there's a couple of things in this story, and everybody starts somewhere. So don't feel like November is a minute ago. You're right. You got to get in. You got to get committed. You've already taken some huge steps. First, going to Rod's event, Rod Khleif's event. He's been doing this a while. I've talked to him a couple of times. He is someone who's really trying to help people.
Yes, absolutely.
And then the other thing you did, and maybe it's your financial background, I don't know, but you sort of looked at, okay, I want to invest in an asset class that has lots of people paying me rent or lot fees, or whatever you want to call it, right?
Right.
But you also then went and said, okay, too many fish or too many people are going after apartments. What else is there? And obviously, you selected mobile homes. So, was there more to it, or was it like just?
Yeah, I mean, there's more to it to that. I mean, honestly, I'm pretty passionate about affordable housing. I've just seen trends, especially in my area, just with apartment rent and home, rentals. Just they're so expensive,
Yeah.
and I love the idea of still having some affordable options for people. And they're a dying breed. I mean, you don't see anyone building new mobile home parks, and there's a lot of reasons for that. And so it was kind of a supply and demand aspect, as well. I was like, here's an affordable housing option. No one's building new ones. And, when I tell people that I'm into mobile home parks, they kind of shudder a little bit. They're like, ooh, why? And then it's really fun to be able to, explain why. And they're like, oh, I get it. I totally get it. So
That's
it's
awesome.
it's kind of a fun conversation to have.
That's awesome. Well, one thing I always want to make sure we do is we talk about the first deal. And if I remember correctly, you had something, at least one thing, put into contract recently in 100 and some odd spots. Is that right?
Yeah, so we've got a few different things in the pipeline. So just to back up,
Yep.
I aligned with a group called Active Duty Passive Income,
Yep.
ADPI. They focus mainly on serving military and their families to help them invest in real estate.
Yep.
It's an awesome group. They have a great Facebook group. Y'all should check them out. So my first partner was Tim Kelly, and he's with ADPI, and we were working together, and he was like, why don't you just join ADPI? So my group is Soho. So now we have Soho ADPI. together. I'm the mobile home park arm of the ADPI group. So
Nice.
so we have a lot going on. We have a 71 pad. We're second position in line for a 71 pad in Indiana.
Okay.
And then we just went under contract on a park that we're so excited about in Illinois. It's amazing. It's 152 pads, 2 single-family homes, and 13 storage units. And then there's 23 pads that they're undeveloped. Like the utility infrastructure is already there. They just need to have pads poured. So it's a growing area. So we'll probably look into doing some development on those pads. So.
Wow.
And we have another deal in South Carolina that's an owner finance deal. It's a smaller park, but the seller financing terms are just so attractive that, it doesn't necessarily meet our criteria, but when you throw in seller financing and the cash on cash returns are ridiculous, like how do you say no to so,
yeah, I generally don't say no to owner or seller financing on any.
No, you can't.
No.
You can't. So, and it was a really cool story. That park was owned by a husband-wife Air Force couple.
Okay.
And so when we submitted our offer, we do like a little video to say who we are, what our mission is, and what we do. And she connected so much with our message that she said, I want this park to be military owned, like continue that military ownership.
That's awesome.
So it was kind of a cool lesson, to see that a lot of times, when you're dealing with sellers, it's not necessarily about price or terms. It could be about the story, the mission, the relationship. So
yeah, absolutely. That's wonderful. Again, you said earlier, hey, we started in November, you were kind of slow rolling it, and now you're talking about 3 or 4 different deals going on. So you are committed, even though you have a W-2 job and are busy during the day.
Right.
You're all in.
I'm all in. This is happening.
There you go. I like it. So I am curious. I've never looked for mobile home parks. I honestly don't remember seeing them listed, and I'm sure it's because I'm not looking. Where do you find them?
The weirdest places, Craigslist, broker relationships are probably the biggest ones. You've got a lot of elderly sellers out there, so they're wanting to list it with a broker. So broker relationships are huge. We've got a lot of established relationships, so we'll get a lot of off-market deals. And then the other fun part is I've somewhat branded myself on social media as, hey, I only do mobile home parks.
Yes.
I want to be aligned with that. And so I have people send me stuff through Facebook and LinkedIn. And so they just kind of come out of nowhere, all kinds of different places.
And again, I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but when you get specific or focus, like you're the mobile home individual or park, mobile home parks, you will get deal flow. All you have to do is stay present, stay in front of people, share, be a giver, and deal flow comes. So, I can't imagine what will start coming to your way in a year's time, right? This has been, 6 short months?
Right.
You're going to own more mobile home parks than anybody in the country, probably in a decade. So keep it up.
That's my goal. Yeah. And I was actually talking to my partner today, and, we still have deals coming in, and I'm like, I don't think we can even look at these right now. We gotta, we've got, a bunch that we need to close on and finish up. So yeah, deal flow is going really well.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about that Illinois deal, 152 pads, if you will. Let's break it down a little bit, because again, you're the first mobile home park expert we have on the show. So let's talk about, let's just break it down. I know what it is, but the audience may not. What's a pad?
A pad is, mobile home parks are usually one parcel. So if you look up the tax record, it's one piece of land. You own the land as a mobile home park owner. And then you have a pad, which would be just a square piece of concrete where you would be able to lay the foundation of a mobile home. Mm-hmm. And the tenant, you can do 2 different ways. Either the tenant can bring in their own home and pay you lot rent. So they're just paying for the, to be on your land, basically. Mm-hmm. Or you can actually bring in your own mobile home and rent it out like you would any other single family home.
And again, the landowner, in this case, you, for those ones you're developing, I think you said 23, if I'm feverishly taking my notes,
Yep,
your responsibility is making sure utilities, pouring the pad and making sure utilities are there.
correct.
Correct. Once you get that, that's your responsibility. Then then a tenant would either, again, lease the pad and drop their home on it, or you drop it on. And if you drop it on, do you get one fee for the lot and then one fee for the mobile home?
Ideally, yes. When you're renting it to them, though, you would just have one price.
Yeah, you'd wrap it
But
up.
it's really important in the mobile home park world to basically bifurcate that rent, because a lot of lenders, most lenders, do not
Ah,
look at home rent. They only underwrite the lot rent. So if you've got a bunch of park owned homes, breaking that out to say, here's the lot rent component, here's the home component, that's very important to do.
that makes sense, right? Because as a lender, you were basing it on income, and mobile homes don't have the same life expectancy and maintenance and whatnot as a lot, right? Lots generally
Exactly.
don't go good. Okay, I got you. And then why do you think there was two single family homes on the lot? Is that just the family who built the lot built their homes there too, and that was kind of the story?
You see this pretty much on the majority of parks
Oh, okay.
listed,
I didn't know that.
unless they've been churned. A lot of it is mom and pops.
Okay.
They're elderly people that maybe had land. They lived there, they had land, and then they decided, hey, I'm going to put some mobile homes on my land. So a lot of times when they're ready to sell, they're just ready to get rid of
Yeah.
everything.
Out.
Out. I mean, and it's funny. There's a lot of deals, and I think this is pretty unique to the mobile home, is it's they sell these portfolios with different assets in them. There was one that I was looking at that it was 3 parks all in one, and not only that, they threw in like a commercial building, a dump truck, a bulldozer, a backhoe, like a bunch of heavy machinery.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it was just like, it's like they're just like, we're done. Like, we're
Yeah.
ready to retire. Just take all of our stuff. We'll sell it all at once. So I think that's pretty unique to this world.
I'm curious, does that make it hard to finance something like that?
Absolutely.
I would think so. Yeah.
And it makes
Okay.
it very difficult to analyze it as well. I mean, at one point I was sitting there trying to figure out like what is a 1967 dump truck worth, And
Zero.
right, right, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, and even when you're looking at parks that have park-owned homes on it, a lot of times you'll have to do like a different bill of sale. Lenders will lend on it, but it makes it a lot more
Okay.
difficult.
Yeah. So I'm imagining. So I've done multifamily, nothing nearly as big as this, right? The biggest thing I've ever done was only 18 units. But I can imagine when you're running a Porfoma or building one, your financial background has to be a lifesaver. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'm very comfortable around
Numbers.
numbers. I've been through audits my whole career. I live in Excel. I live in a P&L. I mean, that's my comfort level.
It's your happy place, huh?
It is, yeah. That's what I bring to the table, and talking about aligning with different people, like your partners, knowing what you're good at and what you can bring to the table. Obviously, that's what I bring to the table. So,
Yeah, clarity is good. Since we just talked about partners, let's dig into that a little bit more, because one of the things that's very clear in this business is if you want to go big, partnerships are often critical. So again, talk about how you've already mentioned them, but do it again. Let's give them a plug. How you found them, how you had those initial conversations, that little dance, like, are we going to do something? Are we not? Let's talk about how to evaluate partners and eventually go for it.
okay. So, my whole career, I've never needed to value networking.
Mhm.
Being a controller, like you just apply for a job and you're either qualified or you're not. There was
Mhm.
no networking component. So that was very much a unique new concept for me. So when I went to Rod's event, the whole world of networking opened up. So I just started meeting as many people as I could. And it's just amazing when you put yourself out there, you just meet as many people as you can. So many doors open. And there was one person I met in Atlanta at Rod's event that introduced me to my partner, Tim Kelly. And we've never even met. Tim and I have never even met each other. But what we did was we were both, interested in mobile homes. So we just started doing Zoom calls every few days. And you just really get to know someone through doing video calls. And so we just kind of hit it off. I'm part of the 10X multifamily group on Facebook. And we talk a lot about partnerships and how we like to call it business dating. Where
okay, I get it.
Where you can find someone that is, good at analysis or good at capital raising, but if you don't like them, you're not going to want to work with them.
Yeah.
You should business date someone, see if you like them, see if you like talking to them, working with them, and just connecting on that level. I think that's probably the most important thing, because you get very intertwined with someone when you get in a partnership with them.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
So you better align on your values, on your goals, and personality wise, you got to have some chemistry there.
Yeah, I think the concept of business dating is very creative, and you're right, it kind of hits the mark. I would say it's equally important to find people that are sort of the yin and yang to you, right? They kind of complement you. So the whole 1 + 1 is greater than 2 scenario, right? Having another controller, like if Tim Kelly, I don't know him, but I'm sure he's a great guy. But if he was another controller, that probably wouldn't be the best fit.
No. And actually, I was talking to one of the other ADPI guys this morning, and we were talking about the gas pedal and the brake pedal. And so I'm the brake pedal, and then Tim is the gas pedal. There was this huge park that came across, and I was like, Tim, can we do this? He's like, why not? Fist bump. I was like, okay. So
gas pedal.
He's definitely the gas pedal. I think that's really important, to find someone that's kind of your opposite. And then, like you said, 1 + 1 = 3. Very,
very cool. And I'm just curious, again, don't know Tim. Did he start in November as well, or does his background in real estate or mobile homes go farther?
It's farther. He's probably been in the game 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's got some other alignments and partnerships that he's involved in.
Very, very cool. So partnerships, networking, all of these are key. So when do you close on this park in Illinois? It sounds like that might be the first one that actually closes. Is that right?
Probably not. We'll probably close on South Carolina small property
seller
sooner.
financing one?
Yeah, because we won't have banks involved.
That's a lovely thing. So let's talk about that one.
Okay. So that went through Craigslist.
Really?
And
Craigslist.
Yeah. Craigslist. Now on Craigslist, you'll find a lot of the smaller stuff, like her daughter posted it for her on Craigslist. And, so I just, called her up and just got to know her. I was trying to understand, what was she trying to accomplish? I think that's the most important thing. And what I found out was all she wanted to do, her husband died. All she wanted to do was be done with the park. She had spent 40 years managing it. Wow. She was ready to move on and buy a little house down by a lake so she could do her garden and, whatever else. Right. And she just wanted some cash to be able to jumpstart that process. So, so the things, that I keyed in on that is if we can just give her a good upfront cash amount and say, all right, we'll pay you this amount monthly for X amount of time. She was happy with that. So, it's fun to work direct with seller, and you can just figure out what are their goals. How can we make that happen, and then make the numbers happen on the back end. Yeah.
Seller financing is exactly how I'm adding all my units, starting last year going forward. And it's those conversations that you really can have. Don't go into these looking like you're going to take advantage of someone. That's right. That's let's just say karma will come back and bite you, but listen to what they need, right? In this case, she needed a little bit of cash up front to jumpstart her dream of having a house by a lake. And then of course she wants income to pay her future bills, right?
Exactly.
Good to go.
It's great because everybody wins. She gets exactly what she needs to accomplish her goals, and we get what we need. So it's a beautiful thing.
Very, very cool. And I did not jot down how many lots that one was.
That one is 19 pads in a single family home.
Pads, that's right. Okay. Very, very cool. So what does a pad rent for in South Carolina? Is it $100 a month, 200? I have no idea.
It depends. It just depends on where you are.
Okay.
I mean, it could go anywhere from, I mean, I don't know about necessarily South Carolina as a
Sure.
whole, but,
Sure.
um, if you're like somewhat rural, $200 a month.
Okay.
If you go out to like Arizona, like the Phoenix market, I mean, it can go all the way up to 450 a month.
Okay.
Even in Illinois, 350, 400. It just depends on how close you are to the big cities. But
Sure. And do pads have the same kind of, I don't know, I guess I'll call it rent increase. I'm not sure what else to call it. Every year, or are there different rules to raise lot or pad rents or fees, I guess, pad fees every year, or how does that work?
I think that's just up to the owner.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
whatever the market's dictating, whatever
Right.
you can, makes sense. The interesting thing that a lot of owner operators do is they take the position of, if you've got tenant-owned homes on your property, the cost of moving a home
Yeah.
off a mobile home park is, let's say $4,000 or $5,000.
Yeah.
Usually people that are in mobile homes don't have $4,000 or $5,000 to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So technically you can get away with increasing rent
Yeah.
as high as it allow, knowing that they're not going to be able to move their home.
Again, let's
That,
talk
that
karma.
does exist in the industry.
Very, very cool. All
Yeah.
right. So let's talk about your future a little bit. So have you thought about where you want to be? Let's just do this first. November of this year, which will be your 1 year anniversary. Do you have an idea of how many pads you'd like to be under ownership? Any thoughts?
You know what? I started writing my goals every day.
Nice.
Yeah, back in November when I went to Rod's event. I mean, he's so amazing with all the mindset stuff. So I started writing down my goals every day, and I'm kind of starting to think. I thought they were huge, and now I'm here in July, and I'm like, I'm probably going to surpass this. But
I like it.
I know. So I had been writing down. I want to close 2 mobile home parks in 2019.
Okay.
That was my goal, and then I said I wanted to do 10 multifamily properties in 2020. So I didn't really have a pad
That's fine.
number,
That's fair.
but yeah, I'm kind of I'm tracking ahead of that.
Yeah, I would say so.
I should have 10x'd my goals.
Yeah. What I just heard you say is you're gonna tomorrow morning have a new goal for this year, because you're probably gonna have 2 done by August. So you need to do something the last part of the year.
Yeah, I'll start changing them up tomorrow.
All right. So then I guess the big elephant in the room I have, given the way we started this call, is you have a W-2 job. I don't know, that's 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Have you thought about when you put the pin in that and you go do this full time? Is it 5 years? Is it 3 years, 10 years? I have no idea.
I wrote a date down, and I'm just going to go with it regardless of what happens.
All right.
I'm going to make it work. And I said June 2020, so a year.
I like it. Yeah. So that's 11 months, just so you know, not a year. It's 11 months.
Well, June 30.
Oh, June 30. Okay. Now
Don't short me a month. I need it.
No, I think you're going to be just fine. That's awesome. So this has been a lot of fun. I love talking about real estate investing. I learned a lot of stuff today, so I appreciate that, Sydney. How can people get a hold of you, be a part of this? Heck, if they have a mobile home park that they see somewhere, how should they get that information to you?
Sure. So best place to find me is on Facebook, Sydney Barker. You can also email me, Soho Properties, SOHO Properties LLC @gmail.com.
And you're always looking for mobile home parks, right?
Always looking.
Yeah. So yeah, people watching this channel, you guys are all over the country and the world. And if mobile home parks are really listed in the oddest places, do us a favor and let's flood her email with the listings we see in Craigslist, because she can't see them all. So let's flood her email. Let's give your email one more time, Sydney.
Sure. Soho Properties LLC @gmail.com.
Excellent, Sydney. Thank you very much for joining. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate
Yep,
it.
you got it.